Welcome to the City of St. Petersburg City Council meetings. City Hall is located.
Good afternoon. My name is Judy Else, and I live at 1874 Juarez Way South. Would everybody who's here about Officer Kelly please stand up so the council can see how many of you are in the room? Thank you. I'm sure most of you are aware that there is considerable angst in the communities we call SPAN, South Pinellas area neighborhoods, with regard to the sudden and unwarranted removal of Dennis Kelly as our community service officer. There are three factors here that I think should be of concern to you, to the mayor, and to the city as a whole. First, the way Officer Kelly was informed about his transfer, the fact that it was done without dignity or respect, was insulting and offensive, and demonstrates a total disregard for his years of service and considerable record of achievements. Second, as a community, we were given 7 different reasons for this transfer, which are in front of you, none of which was true. The last of these excuses appeared in the recent Times article, to wit, the sergeant felt that Officer Kelly could not rise to the next level of CSO pursuant to her plan. No one knows what the next level for a CSO is, and no explanation has been forthcoming. Moreover, in the last couple of months, it has become obvious that the CSOs in District 1 no longer know what their job is, and no one in District 2 has any knowledge of a plan for improvement or a next level. This leads to the inescapable conclusion that all of this inconsistent statement and vague new program and next level is nothing but smoke and mirrors designed to conceal the reality of the situation, which is that one sergeant wanted to get rid of one CSO. Third, and most important, the way Officer Kelly was treated, combined with the shifting stories and the ongoing failure of an entire chain of command, from the sergeant to the major to the assistant chief, to be honest about what happened and to take steps to apologize and repair the damage, has undermined credibility, confidence, and trust in this area of the city. While I realize that you do not have any direct control over the police department, you are the representatives of this city, and we ask you to request an investigation. All things considered, Sergeant Houston should probably be removed from a position of authority for abusing it. There should be an internal affairs investigation, and Officer Dennis Kelly should be restored to doing what he does best, preserving and protecting the residents.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Phyllis Dodge, and I have a residence at 3900 7th Street South. I am here today about the chaos and the crime on my street in 7th Street South and 38th Avenue. Ever since our CSO officer, Dennis Kelly, was abruptly excused from his services, our community has been hell. Officer Kelly has spent significant time out of his cruiser chatting and educating about parking, speeding, loud music, drug use, loose dogs, etc. The list is so long I could not take the time to list it. He would walk and talk every day to the residents. He was our only advocate, our savior. We once again felt safe in our living environment. He chatted with everyone. He turned our hostilities into revived respect and harmony. He had the feel and trust of his people. He was exactly what community policing is all about. He knew scores of citizens, and most citizens knew a few of our neighborhood officers. He had an intimate knowledge of his area, and Officer Kelly was relaxed and warmly humane, not like a program robot. Officer Kelly also had a swell process of addressing our neighborhood grievances. He related so well with the media and cultivated positive relationships in those areas. I am appalled at the disrespect of our community, to our community from our police department and our mayor, the lies and excuses for this abrupt removal of our team. No explanations, just lies right to our face. These unannounced changes have brought turmoil to our quality of life. Since Officer Kelly has been taken away from us, my street I got a shooting range across the street, and I now have the police tank in front of my house. Please, I've never had a police tank in front of my house to protect our street. Officer Kelly worked hard to get the trust and harmony back in our streets. You have lost all that Officer Kelly has diligently earned. We want him back if he would have us. Our streets are no place for police jealousy and retaliation. Whoever had the idea of removing him needs some retraining and telling the truth. But then again, you can't fix stupid. Thank you very much.
Barbara Hartwell and Robert Carter.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Barbara Hartwell. I live at 1660 Fairway Avenue South. It would be difficult to describe to you just how deep a sense of loss and disappointment we in District 1 feel about losing Officer Kelly, and how bitter we feel about being completely blindsided by this action. No warning, no preliminary conversations with the association presidents involved, no effort to acknowledge the effective and very special working relationship we had with Officer Kelly. That has been effectively destroyed in one fell swoop. It doesn't seem quite right or wise that a decision by one individual, or even a committee of several, can trump, excuse the expression, the wishes of over thousands of residents in District 1, and to make a decision that ignores the great success of the program already in place. There really would be no reason for us to be here today voicing our displeasure, our anger at this decision and the lack of warning given to us, and I gather to Officer Kelly, if the St. Pete Police Department truly viewed us as co-partners in community policing. I ask Council to encourage the ones involved in this decision to walk it back a bit, to reconsider in the interest of good community relations, to recognize this effort was working and working well, and that Officer Kelly is an excellent CSO and a liaison with the communities he served, in the interest of good community relations, and to rebuild the trust and cooperation of the thousands of residents in District 1 who have been affected. Maybe it would be okay to admit that perhaps a mistake was made and things could have been handled a little differently, that the authors of the change might be smart enough to say, okay, we jumped the gun a bit here. We made a mistake. I respectfully ask that Council urge a reconsideration of this and a restoration of Officer Kelly to us. That is, assuming he wants to come back to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Robert Carter, live in North St. Pete. First off, I'd like to thank the members of St. Pete City Council for the opportunity to speak affecting the greater portion of South Pinellas. I'm here to add some outside perspective to an ongoing situation and hopefully shed some light on what has been going on. Just as a matter of record, I am currently a resident of St. Petersburg and not only lived in the area for almost 30 years, but was born here. This is important because I have a deep-seated love for Pinellas and St. Petersburg and try to support our communities the best I can. Over the last year or so, I have witnessed and have been involved in many issues in Lakewood and have been in contact with local officers. In many cases, offering video footage and eyewitness accounts of issues that have been reported. This was an effective relationship while Officer Kelly was the CSO of Lakewood, but things have changed drastically since he has moved. Since Officer Kelly's departure, I have personally faced stronger and stronger resistance from SPPD, and overall, the effectiveness and their actions have dropped dramatically. A good example of this was back a few months ago when one of my clients that has video surveillance systems on their house that we monitor called into SPPD about kids that were going through the yards in Lakewood neighborhood, eventually attempting to steal bikes from the house across the street. That house, the house that this took place in is one of the biggest issue locations in the neighborhood, so it's no surprise they refused police involvement. After we found this out, the SPPD was not going to take action, we offered them video evidence of the attempted theft so that they could at least attach it to the event ID and have it in the official record. Even if they were not going to take action, it would at least be in the record. The response I got from the acting sergeant at the time was not only rude, but very unprofessional. And the overall impression was that SPPD does not want to bother with patrolling or protecting Lakewood. As someone that has lived in Northeast St. Petersburg and Tierra Verde, I can tell you from experience that calls from these areas seem to be treated in a much more professional manner. Quite frankly, seeing the large assault vehicle in Lakewood would never happen in Snell Isle or Shore Acres. Finally, I would like to say I understand the police chief and the department have to run their department in a way that it feels effective and fits the rules of law. But I think it's all members of the SPPD need to be reminded that their job is to serve and protect without bias all areas under their jurisdiction. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mike Forsythe and Judith McLaughlin.
Go ahead. My name is Michael Forsythe. I live at 1400 Alhambra Way South. My wife and I moved there in October. We're new to the area. But like everyone else has said, our first 3 or 4 months living there were great because we had Officer Kelly. We need him back in Lakewood Estates. Since he has been removed, Alhambra Way South is going downhill very fast. And this is a nice part. I mean, all Lakewood Estates are nice, but I mean, the 15th hole is right in front of us, the 16th hole is right over there. It's a nice area, but it doesn't feel nice. And I'll give you a couple examples, and frankly, I'm a little scared to live on Alhambra Way. Less than 3 weeks ago, my wife and I heard multiple gunshots fired outside our front door. I counted 7. Some people have counted 8. Here's the police card. They came out and talked to me. I walked out with the officer that night. It was about 11 o'clock. We found 4 .40 caliber shell casings in the street right in front of my house. This doesn't normally happen. I found a 5th one the next day. Another example, less than 2 weeks ago, my wife and I were driving back from the doctor's office. Right before we pulled into our driveway, there were apparently at least 2 people in an SUV in front of us, throwing beer bottles, first out the driver's door, up into the air, smashing it onto the street, a half-full beer bottle in front of our car. It didn't hit us, but it was right in front. Another one came flying out of the passenger side, dropping like bombs from the sky. We tried to get their license plate number. We followed them a little ways. We soon stopped when the passenger pointed a semi-automatic pistol out the passenger window. A clear sign things aren't going well. Here's the police card for that one. This wasn't going on when Officer Kelly was there. Maybe it's a coincidence, but the past several months have not been good to the point where we may move. You know, 54th Avenue, what's happening a lot is people are using Alhambra Way to cut through from where the high school is off of 54th. It's a nice fast shortcut, no stop signs, a couple speed humps that, trust me, are not slowed down for. Right out to MLK, and then the same way sweeping back from MLK.
Thank you.
Please bring Officer Kelly back. We really need him.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm here today my address is 636 64th Avenue South. I live in one of the Span neighborhoods. I am here to speak on another issue, but when I heard there were people here to speak about Officer Dennis Kelly, I took the opportunity to take, hopefully not as many as 3 minutes. I'm sorry Mayor Kreisman just left because I wanted to thank him for giving us the police chief that strongly supports community officers. We have gone through a couple reiterations of this, and what we found in Officer Dennis Kelly was the one who does it right. I actually found it really ironic that at the end of the newspaper article, our chief said, if we could duplicate Dennis, that would be the best thing. Well, that says it all. I wish we could duplicate him because other neighborhoods could have him and we could have him back. I had a very scary incident that had someone following me up to 6 turns that I made evasively on the way to my house. I wasn't satisfied. I got a lot of police response, but it was very condescending. When I called Officer Kelly the next day, he came to my house. We wrote a supplemental report. We found that this person didn't have no priors with the little looking he did. But Dennis cared enough to come and listen to me. This person's now a person of interest in other things. Dennis knows our neighborhood. You don't have to explain to him what street that bad house is on, what house has pit bulls running from one place to another, what time of day that motorcycle is going to haul butt and wake everybody up at 4:30. Those are things that are so precious to a neighborhood that's come to rely on someone who is fantastic. I really was impressed this administration that it looked like the departments have stopped circling the wagons when a decision was made that wasn't optimum. And it looks like this could be one that, while this body doesn't have the decision making, and I understand that this administration doesn't, that is, it's with our chief, who we respect. I do think there was some tension going on that could have been solved maybe with the personnel department within St. Pete PD. And I wrote a letter of thanks to 2 individuals, the chief and another, regarding my incident, and I did not receive a response from either. And I was very disappointed, and I think I'm going to forward it again, because I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt that maybe it got caught in the spam catcher. But I think since this has been brought up again, I'm going to resend it and allow. Thank you.